Aloha, I'm Doug Nordman, and I'm a financial caregiver. The when and how of becoming a financial caregiver wasn't under my control. My father first noticed his symptoms in the middle of 2008, and then late in 2009, he sent an email to my brother and me and said that he was having difficulty using his computer with his slipping memory. And so when you get an email like that from an elderly family member, that earns them a visit right away. The way we got started with the caregiving was, again, it wasn't under our control, but my father ended up in the emergency room of the hospital. He had a perforated ulcer. The staff became aware that he was dealing with dementia and that there were problems. And we knew that was the point at which we would need to find a care facility for Dad or find out some kind of care situation and also find somebody to manage his finances. Dad had never really wanted to talk about his finances and had declined all offers of powers of attorney or other support. And so that's when we had to file petitions with the local Denver probate court to be appointed his guardian and his conservator. Once I had access to Dad's accounts and once I'd put in the 15 hours or so of labor to figure out what there was and what I had, I was able to start reimbursing my brother and I for our expenses. I had filed the claim on his long-term care insurance. Now I had the legal authority to negotiate with the insurance company on his behalf so we could prosecute, finish that claim and start that money flowing from his insurance policy. And we just started settling books. But as I started to talk to my friends about what I was doing for my father and with my brother and talking about all the things I had to do to handle his finances, I found out that just about everybody in the room you're talking with will have somebody in the same situation. They're either a caregiver themselves or they have a member of their family who's a caregiver. Everybody's dealing with this problem and almost nobody wants to talk about it. So everybody feels like they're isolated and alone. And suddenly you discover this huge support network out there. And so that started, once I became aware of that, I started talking about it more openly and asking questions and getting more help and support. And that was very reassuring. What would you do differently if you were starting this position over again? And I have a whole lot of ideas. The very first thing is that I would have had my dad do a power of attorney. I think I was reluctant to confront him on this. I was reluctant to do this with him, but we should have had the conversation a lot earlier. It's also personal now. My father needed a lot of care from me, and it was a disaster when I walked in there to take over because he had been dealing with Alzheimer's for many months by that point. Ironically, his father had done the same thing to him 25 years ago, so my father had to actually step in and rescue his father's finances. And for 25 years, my dad had been telling me, that's okay, I'm not going to let happen to you boys what happened to me when I was taking care of my dad. Of course, until it did. And now I had to pick up the pieces and step on and move forward with that. Now I understand that when you're disabled with dementia or any other chronic condition or an accident, whatever happens to you, you want to have somebody who can step right in and help take care of your finances. If we would talk about these things more, if we had family relationships and the ability to discuss these things, and by raising the next generation to have this skill, you know someday they're going to be making those financial decisions for you. It's essential for the parents to help the next generation make sure they understand this stuff, because it's just going to turn right back around and come back to you. The training, the skills you give them now will come back to haunt you later on in life if you don't do it right.